Let's move on now to the Free State, and that's where we find our reporter Refilwe Mekoa. And Refilwe, looking at some of the results coming out there in the Free State, it seems as if the ANC is quite comfortable in the Free State province.
Yes, of course, Mbali. The ANC is leading with 52%, 52.29% rather, which is a slight decline compared to the previous general elections in 2019, where the party had 61%, and they are followed by the DA with 21%, which is a bit of an increase from 17.58%, and lastly with the EFF, whereby they also have a slight increase, whereby they have 13.40% now, and previously in 2019 they secured 12.58% in Bali, and so far the province has already captured 98.99 results, and they are only left with about 6 voting stations from Mangao. However, talking about decline in terms of voter turnout as well, 5 years ago the province had about 66.5% of voter turnout, of which now it's around 58%. But with me to tell us more, in fact, and to touch on other issues, including voter turnout, is Jabulani Chabalala from the IEC. Dr. Chabalala, let's just start with how has it been so far? We're nearing the end. We're about to wrap up one of the most, historic elections that the country has ever witnessed. How has it been so far in terms of the Free State?
Well, finally, the winning post is in sight. It has been a long day, I must say, but fortunately, all the 18 municipalities are completed. We are left with one, which is Mangaung municipality, is the biggest in the province. We are left with about 6, as you have said, voting districts that we need to finalize. It was 20 minutes ago. I'm sure it's about 2 or 3 voting stations that are still left.
In terms of voter turnout, what's your take on it? We do know that during the signing of Code of Conduct previously, the IC did indicate in the province that the voter registration, was dominated by the elderly and less young people. And we did see that, in terms of voter turnout, it was more of, lesser than what was expected. What's your take on that?
Well, we did what we can do in terms of our voter education campaigns, in terms of our civic and democracy education campaigns. And the stage was set for everyone to come and participate in these historic elections, as you have said. So as to the turnout, I can't say much because I haven't seen the final turnout. But I heard you saying that we've got about 58% currently. I don't see us getting to 66%. Given the fact that we are left with 2 or 3 voting stations that we need to complete.
In terms of campaigning prior to the elections, during the week I was deployed at Leisurely Butswa, and one of the things that stood out during election day was the elderly dominating the queues. In fact, they were prioritized because they were frail, and whenever I asked them if they didn't know about special votes, most of them said they didn't know. Some said the system kicked them out. Do you have knowledge of that? And in hindsight, do you think the IC could have done better in terms of, these old people, them having at least that advantage of getting some home visit in terms of them voting?
Well, the electoral timetable was widely publicized, where the issue of special votes application, the window period thereof, was also publicized. And it was also discussed with various stakeholders, including political parties. So everyone should have been au fait with the dates or the window period of the special votes, and if they didn't apply. But we had, fortunately, the historic number. 86,000 people applied for special votes this time around. And we managed to visit all the doors that we had to visit.
And I think earlier on, you and I did see that Act President General Ismagashule intends, or rather is demanding a recount. Besides that, what's your take on that? And are there any objections that, the IEC in the province has received so far? And if they are, what does that mean?
Well, it's part of the democratic process. It's part of the electoral process that whenever people that participate in this particular process are aggrieved for one thing or the other, there's that window for them to lodge an objection, Section 41 or Section 55 objection. So if any of the political parties feel aggrieved for one reason or the other, they're at liberty to lodge that particular objection, and the Commission will handle it, as they are still handling objections they received throughout the country at a particular moment.
Has our province received any objections?
Yes, we did receive some objections, and they've been forwarded to where they belong, to the Commission services, and the commissions are looking and applying their minds on those objections.
From which particular parties, if I may ask?
Well, I saw one from DA. I haven't seen others, because at least I was copied from that one of the DA. So it's something that the DA will apply, not the DA, but the Commission will apply its mind on.
So then how will the process unfold if, in such cases?
Well, we finalize results now. We are tired. We want to go home, and we make sure that tonight we finalize these results. And then those that deals with objections, they will deal with objections, and they'll give way forward as to what needs to be done moving forward.
Thank you so much. That was Jabulani Chabalala Bali just telling us that right now their focus is just to finalize the results. I just want to bring in the provincial secretary of the ANC, Pulodi Somotshweneng, just to touch on, the results and if the party is satisfied with this slight decline. Secretary, PS, how do you feel about the decline? There's a slight decline from 61% to 52%. As the ANC in the Free State, do you think you could have done something better?
Good evening. We were hopeful that we will increase our seats in the provincial legislature in terms of the work that we have done. And it's unfortunate that the formula that has been used by the IEC would not give us what we want. The number of the votes that we garnered is almost above 400,000, and that was sufficient for us to indicate that at least we have done quite well. But we are comprehending as this provincial leadership that we need not be worried, and we have to adopt the attitude of transcending the incidentals and never allow some incidents to disrupt the mission of building afresh the ANC in the province, because we have inherited an ANC that was no more attractive to the community in the Free State, inclusive of a government that was not responding to the needs of the people, rather. That is why we embark on an aggressive campaign, intervening especially on service delivery related deficiencies. And we think in terms of the campaign that we undertook, we have performed quite well, just that we did not get the seats that we intended to get in terms of the calculations that will be made by the IEC, because we have just been told that there's a certain formula that is being used, but we still have to look at it.
Any plans of perhaps, working with other political parties?
We have a decisive majority, and there's no need for us to be in any partnership with any party. And what we want to do is to improve in the next coming election and increase the number of the voters and deal with the apathy that I've seen, because you have indicated that both the 2021 or 2019 elections had a higher turnout than the one that we have today. So we still have to go aggressively and educate our people, listen to them, encourage them, and ultimately on the basis of what we do, would the ANC appeal once more to the communities that we are professing to be their leaders.
The voters' roll was dominated by the elderly, and you managed to be the majority, and you are leading in terms of the results. Do you think that is where your strong point is, with the elderly than the young people?
No, there's a combination of the young and the old. And our campaign was attracting most young people, the middle age, and of course, you would know that the old are the loyalists. But we were not only depending on the old. That combination gave us the numbers that we can aggregate today in terms of the support that we've received.
Thank you so much. PS, that was the Provincial Secretary of the ANC and the Free State, Puledi Somutsweni, just giving us, his take in terms of the results, and that his party had a slight decline compared to the 2019 general elections. And Mbali, the Free State Provincial Legislature has 30 seats. In the previous administration, which is the sixth administration, whereby the ANC had 19, and it was followed by the DA with 6, then the EFF with 4, and lastly with Freedom Front Plus with 1. But there might be slight changes when one looks at the results right now. At the end, we might see MK Party and also ACT perhaps both respectively securing each seat by the legislature, but that will remain to be seen, of course. Bali?
All right, Refilwe, thank you so much. And I was actually going to ask you there, when it comes to the ACT Party, and of course that the former premier of that province disputing some of the results coming out, and if whether they will be represented in that legislature. But of course, only time will tell, especially now that when all those results will be tallied, to see if whether the former premier of the Free States Party will be returning, or he will be coming into that legislature in the Free State. That's our reporter there in the Free State, Refilwe Mekoa.